Hello students, welcome back to your English session. So today in this session we will learn about a very sensitive poem written by Gieve Patel titled as On Killing a Tree. Let's proceed. Let us know the poet first. Gieve Patel is an Indian poet, playwright, painter as well as a practicing physician. He belongs to a group of writers who have subscribed themselves to the Green Movement, which is involved in an effort to protect the environment. His poems speak of deep concerns for nature and expose man's cruelty to it. First of all, let us have a short introduction. The poem On Killing a Tree has been taken from Gieve Patel's anthology named Poems. The poem is a graphic picture of man's cruelty towards the trees, which symbolizes nature. The poet gives us step-by-step instructions on how to kill a tree and makes us realize that killing a tree is akin to murdering a human being. Akin, alike, means it's all the same as you kill a human being if you kill a tree. It also refers to the destructive nature of human. The poet sensitizes the reader and highlights the fact that trees are living things. He equates trees with humans to convey that trees should not be cut because destroying trees is just like killing a human being. A tree does not die by merely cutting because it regrows from where it is cut. If it has to be destroyed, then it has to be uprooted. How insensitive. Let's see. Now, let us have a glance over the title, how significant the title is. In the poem On Killing a Tree, Gieve Patel, from its beginning to the end, describes in detail the process and consequences of killing a tree. In the first two stanzas, the poet talks about nature resilience. He feels one cannot kill a tree with just a stab of knife. The tree has grown slowly, consuming the earth and absorbing years of sunlight, air and water. So, the tree cannot be killed easily. The bleeding bark will quickly heal and the tree will produce curled green twigs, which will soon expand to their former size. In the following two stanzas, he gives the detailed process of killing a tree. The root of tree must be entirely pulled out of the earth into which it had been anchored and then left exposed to wither and die. Then only will the killing process be over. In this way, the poet highlights man's systematic destruction of the environment. Hence, the title is appropriate and it drives the poet's point home in a superb way. So, it is very significant. Now, let us talk about the tone of the poem, On Killing a Tree. In On Killing a Tree, the poet Gieve Patel adopts a sarcastic tone to make us aware of how proper care of environment can keep one safe from harm. Man is presented as a killer who thinks of all possible ways to get rid of the tree, which represents nature. The poet ironically suggests how to completely kill a tree. For years, the tree, like a parasite, has consumed the earth's crust and absorbed sunlight, air and water to grow up like a giant. So the tree must be killed. But it is not an easy task. A simple jab of knife will not do it. From close to the ground, it will rise up again and grow it to its former size. It will again become a threat to man. So, the tree should be tied with a rope and pulled out entirely. Its white, bleeding root should be exposed. Then, it should be browned and hardened and twisted and withered, and then it is done. So, children, here we need to understand the tone of the poet. He is using sarcasm. His tone is quite sarcastic. He actually is not giving us a message to destroy the nature, but to make us realize. He has written this poem that how cruel we can be, to what extent our cruelty can go. If we feel pain, we need to understand the pain of the plants, the trees. Now, let us know the theme of the poem. In the poem, Gieve Patel gives us a graphic picture of man's killing of the tree. He says that hacking a tree with a knife or an axe will not harm it. The bleeding bark will heal and the tree will grow again to its former size. To be killed, a tree must be uprooted completely. The poet hints at rampant deforestation, and through the very visual representation of the murder of a tree, wishes to communicate to the readers the danger of deforestation. The poet considers that the tree as a living organism which has the right to live like any other creature on earth. But man is killing trees with utmost cruelty and callousness. The tree represents nature, and the poem also suggests that nature is indestructible. The tree could also be a symbol of mankind. Despite wars and other destructive activities, humankind will not easily come to end. Stanza 1. It takes much time to kill a tree. Not a simple jab of the knife will do it. It has grown slowly, consuming the earth, rising out of it, feeding upon its crust, absorbing years of sunlight, air, water, and out of its leprous hide, sprouting leaves. The poet says that a simple cut does not destroy a tree. A tree grows gradually. It is rooted in the soil. A plant takes nutrition from the soil to grow into a big tree. The tree is firmly bound with the soil. It takes in sunlight, water, and air to grow into a strong trunk and have numerous leaves, numerous leaves sprouting out of its branches. Stanza 2. So hack and chop, but this alone won't do it. Not so much pain will do it. The bleeding bark will heal, and from close to the ground will rise curled green twigs, miniature boughs, which if unchecked will expand again to the former size. The poet says the hack of a knife is not enough to bring a tree down. These jabs may cause pain to the tree, but it cannot kill the tree. And the bleeding bark, the part where it has chopped off, will heal with time. New green twigs and boughs will regain their former size. So, the man should be very careful. If he wants to finish the life of tree, then only the hack and chop won't work. No, the root is to be pulled out of the anchoring earth. It is to be roped, tied and pulled out, snapped out or pulled out entirely, out from the earth cave, and the strength of the tree exposed the source white and wet, the most sensitive, hidden for years inside the earth. The poet says, how a tree could be killed. The root is a source of tree's life. It should be pulled out. By the earth's cave, the poet means it's deep inside the earth, where the roots are attached. Pulling it out of the earth, that is the source of its existence, has to be destroyed by taking it out of its place of security and stability. The place should be tied with a rope and pulled out entirely from its safe place below the earth, or it should be snapped out of there. And the strength of the tree exposed, the source white and wet, when it will be tied and it will be taken or pulled out of with the full source and with the full strength or manpower, its strength will be exposed, and the source white and wet, the white, wetty liquid through its root will come out and will be shown. The most sensitive, hidden for years inside the earth, means its deep roots. So, if you want to kill a tree, you need to uproot the tree first. Then the matter of scorching and choking. In sun and air, browning and hardening, twisting, withering, and then it is done. Once the tree has been uprooted, then gradually it withers and dries up, and the action of heat and wind, the trunk will become brown, twist and will harden. Finally, the tree will die this way. So, in other words, the poet wants to convey a message that if you really wish to kill a tree, if you really wish to take the life of a tree, then you have to completely pull it out or uproot a tree and leave it in the sun or air to brown, to harden, to twist, to wither. Then it will completely die. Now let us talk about the setting. The setting of the poem is the modern world. The world is facing rapid deforestation for urbanization and industrialization. So this world where trees are being killed is the setting of the poem. Now, as far as the literary devices are concerned, let us have a look which literary devices have been used by the poet in this poem. So the first one is imagery. Imagery is a poetic device wherein the author uses words or phrases that appeal to any of the senses or any combination of senses to create mental images for the reader. Imagery helps the reader to visualize more realistically the author's writing. For example, slowly consuming the earth, rising out of it, feeding upon its crust, absorbing years of sunlight, air, water, and out of its leprous hide, sprouting leaves. So the imagery used here is strong and it depicts the growth of a tree by consuming nutrients from the earth and absorbing sunlight, air, and water from nature. The language through the poem is simple, remarkable, and vivid. Every word in the poem has a remarkable evocative power and is accurate and suggestive. Expressions such as bleeding bark, leprous hide, anchoring earth present memorable visual image. The poem powerfully portrays man's callousness in killing a tree. It is a telling commentary on one of the major environmental issues that encounters modern man. Irony. The term irony refers to a discrepancy or disagreement of some sort. The discrepancy can be between what someone says and what he or she will really means, or verbal irony. The discrepancy can be between a situation that one would logically anticipate or that would seem appropriate in the situation that actually develops, or situational irony. The poet in this poem describes the cruelty of man in annihilating the tree with irony and detachment. He tells the man how hacking the tree with an axe will only injure it and not kill it. To kill the tree, it must be uprooted and its roots exposed to the sun. Only then will the tree wither or die. But the poet's own sympathy is with the tree. Personification. A figure of speech which endows animals, ideas, or inanimate objects with human traits or abilities. Or in other words, you can say in personification, the writer or the poet consider a non-living thing as a living being. Personification is the poetic practice of attributing human qualities, a character or personality to inanimate or non-human beings such that they appear to be living human beings. In the poem, the tree has been personified. The poet speaks of tree as human beings. When he says that one cannot kill a tree with a jab of knife or by hacking it like they would kill any human being. Bleeding bark. This is an example of personification. The tree is portrayed as a human being throughout the poem, and thus the part of the bark where it is wounded is represented as bleeding. Now, let us know about the most important thing, that is the message. What message has been conveyed by Gieve Patel in this poem? Gieve Patel gives a very important message in this poem on killing a tree. Trees feel pain, grief, suffering, sorrows and joys as sensitively as human beings do. So we should never hurt them. The poet reminds us that we have not inherited these green trees for our use. They are held by us in trust for our future generations. It is therefore our sacred duty to conserve trees as a legacy for future. Such a wonderful message has been given by Patel through this poem. So children, we need to remember this message and act accordingly. So this was all about the poem on killing a tree. Hopefully you understood the paraphrasing, explanation. Thank you for watching the video.